women-centered discourse. Good morning, Dominica. Good morning, the rest of the world. Offering women a platform to be candid.
All of your life, you've been planning for a pandemic.
Share ideas and information relevant to our wholesome development.
My main concern was always for the people.
Join Jael Joseph and Trudy Christian on Woman2Woman every Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we discuss live and in living color on Digicel Channel 57, Facebook, and of course, the champion station, Vibes Radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Happy Friday.
Is it a happy Friday now?
It's a happy Friday. We have to try to make it a happy Friday, Jill. Come on.
Happy Friday, all. Good morning.
Yes.
All of the listeners.
Jill, also of our listeners, our faithful Facebook followers are already on. Good morning, Ian. It's been a good morning, Al, Denny's. I see they're already on. So they bright and early. So it's a happy Friday. They early, Jill. They early this morning.
It's a hot minute. Want to say good morning to all of the radio listeners, those of you locked in on radio, the bus drivers, those of you driving into work, those of you already at work, those of you covertly listening at work. Good morning to you.
COVID listeners, pick up yourselves.
Those of you who's listening right now, you're probably having your breakfast, your morning coffee, because you probably just wake up. Good morning to you. If you already eaten your breakfast and you're ready to eat your lunch, good morning to you too.
Hey, girl, don't tell them about soon. There's somebody in my office. By 11, after 10, 11, she's warming her lunch every day. Don't stop don't sell out the early lunches.
I know how they roll. When your belly making tricks, when your belly fucking you have to go and eat. You have to go get that food, right? I feel your pain. I know I'm on me, so I feel your pain. I know exactly what's going on. I want to say good morning to those of you celebrating your birthday. Today is a special day. Happy birthday to you if you were born on the last day of July. Yes, This weekend would have been Caribana weekend in Toronto. Crop over, Antigua Carnival. Man, so many carnivals. And
I feel like you're doing a wicked thing just by reminding everybody that they would have had so much excitement if it was not for COVID-19. I think you're rubbing it in now.
Well, just look on the bright side of things. You have a whole year to lose that baby fat. That costume.
A whole year to get ready.
A year to lose that baby fat for that costume. Just look at it that way.
Oh gosh, Jill. That is something else. Good morning, Denise, and your Princess Nyla, whose birthday is tomorrow. So we have some birthday people shouting us out. So good, happy birthday, happy anniversary to the people celebrating their anniversaries today or over the weekend. It's also a long weekend, so you if it's your anniversary weekend, you have a little extra time to do a little something. This weekend, it's a long weekend. Pretty hype about that.
What do you have any plans this weekend, Trudy?
I do, weather permitting. I do. I don't want to jinx them by talking because last weekend I put aside some plans I had anticipating bad weather. It was supposed to there was supposed to be a lot of rain last weekend. Bright sunshine is what ended up happening. And so those plans, I kind of pushed them to this weekend. So I'm hoping they happen. I'll tell you about them when we come back next week.
It's a forecast for a reason, right? So don't hang your hat on that. I always wait for the morning of and say, okay, it looks kind of like even here in Canada. It's so if sometimes they'll tell you, oh, it's going to be warmer weather, or sometimes all of a sudden it's colder than normal. So the weather is very iffy, and that's why I don't pay attention to the forecast. Granted that we had raining on yesterday, and but it's not that I don't pay attention. I don't put all my eggs in that basket.
Yeah. But I mean, for certain plans, the forecast is necessary, especially if they include beach. And, you hear that, the sea is going to be rough and all that stuff. So you have to kind of rethink, reschedule. But this weekend, hopefully something can happen. I need something. I need a fun activity this weekend. I definitely do. So I'm banking on a nice weekend.
We didn't discuss this for the entire month because it was the month of July, but I just thought I should ask. Judy, what's going on with your plans?
With my plans?
It's just like done on me. It's just like,
oh my God, Jill, I find honestly you like a lot of trouble. So, first of all one could harvest was harvested. So my lettuce, I harvested that. My bok choy, I harvested that. Then I had some parsley and chive left, and I just lost interest in these things. Honestly, I just lost interest in the parsley and the chive. So after a while, my mom went and she just harvested those two. So all my flower pots are empty. The only thing I have struggling are my bell pepper plants. I water them. They are inside for now. So I have that alone. But all my other stuff, lettuce, my bok choy, my seasonings, they're all gone. I have empty pots for those.
I've used some of my basilic for tea.
Okay.
It's growing. There's still lots in there. The parsley is kind of struggling. I put it outside, but the sun is so hot. It's like a different kind of heat, right? Put it down, so hoping that it doesn't get direct heat. Because I find like the leaves look like they wilted and they wither, when I put them outside and stuff, compared to how they look when they're inside and I use the lights. Because I have like one of those ganja lights.
Yes.
Let's put them under. But they're doing good. My Mary Jane is looking very beautiful. It's very big. So yes. Very, very, very big and lovely. I'll post pictures of them, but all my plants are still thriving.
Yes. Well, people have told me to buy some more seedlings to continue the lettuce and stuff. So I'm thinking about it.
Did it take?
it was
effort from you. Did you find like it took a lot of effort, or it was more mental effort? Was it
mental effort? It was mental effort. It was yes, because you have to think about, as I said, those slugs or whatever they were that started eating up the plants. You have to think about, watering them, making sure you remember. So it's more mental than anything else. But I think it was a good experience. The harvest was actually, nice. So I produced some high quality lettuce, Jael. So maybe I will go back.
Made them high quality, the crunch.
No, it was the soft kind of leaf lettuce, the kind of soft type. I mean, I just think those are the seedlings I got. I mean, I don't think I really had an impact on the fact that it was soft. I'm not hard lettuce, but I have to big myself up for something after all. Yeah, but maybe I will restart. But I like how you just slid that in there when nobody was thinking about plants. I like how you did that, Jael.
Really, I like to do stuff like that. A lot of folks in Dominica have continued to plant, even before, in the hurricane season, and people kind of panic about their plants probably getting left outside and getting destroyed by hurricane, or if they have like probably outdoor beds and all of these different things. And hopefully people can sell their stuff, hopefully people have selling their stuff. I personally had a revelation that people should stop importing all of this stuff that we can grow. That's my personal opinion, that we should not be importing all of these fruits and vegetables that we can actually grow. We should actually be selling it within, probably have like a price, like a price cap, a price control, so
Right.
so that the same price everywhere and stuff. So everybody's selling it. So nobody's giving it to you for you cheaper or more expensive, or something like a price control. And if you get caught, you pay the extra, something. Things that, I mean, we can't be the nature island of the world with the best soil, right? And we importing fruits and vegetables.
Hey, I noticed though you going into like an economics talk there. You start talking about price control. So this morning we do have a guest in the house. So this morning we will be talking.
Because I can't just throw it on all you. I have to
No.
put it on you understand?
You have to come and drop a like economics.
I really make a book, one again.
But this morning we do have somebody in the house who's going to really give us a lot of insight on some matters revolving around the economy and the youth and unemployment. Ashma DcDougall is in the house, and she'll be joining us in just a bit. So if Jael told you very early, I saw she commented under the live. If you have not done so, please share the live so that people can get to weigh in on this discussion that we are about to have this morning.
Yes,
all right,
yes.
Jael, you won them early. I saw you.
Yes, I tell them share the live, early o'clock. I feel like it's important conversation. I mean, every day we have important conversations.
Right.
Some of them benefit you even more than others, right? And I feel like the topic that we're going to be speaking, everybody is affected by it, right? It's not just, yes, we're focusing on youth, but everybody's affected by it. And I feel like we should all do our part and make sure that we get the information out there to people. We're happy to have you here, join us and absorb all the information that we disseminate. But we also would like you guys to share it to other friends and friends and family. Share it in your timeline. Share it in your WhatsApp. Somebody can just copy the link and share it and let people know. If you don't want to share it on your WhatsApp because you don't want to share because you don't really like Jael or you don't really like Trudy, but if you want the information, people hate, right? There's haterade in the air all the time. They have selling in hands, right? But not what is important right now. It's the information that's what's important. And if you don't want to share it publicly, you can constantly share it. Just copy the link and share it to a friend that you probably doesn't have value with. Share it with somebody else.
Yes, definitely. So whilst we take our break, make sure you all follow that advice. Share that
We're gonna take a short break. We're gonna pay some bills because we cannot have the show if we don't pay the bills. So we're gonna come back, and Ashma is going to be joining us. I'm so excited to have her here on the program. So stay tuned. We're coming back right after this. Okay, guys, stay tuned.
Do you have a question for us on Woman to Woman? Send in your questions on 767-245-0514 or email us at w2w.vibesradio@gmail.com. Tune in Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. to the Champion Station with Jael Joseph and Trudy Christian. Only on Vibes Radio.
Didn't you know the only place to go, Vibes Radio? Silk, say so.
LA Jupiter is giving you 10 days of summer. From July 21st to the 31st, get discounts on selected items each day. In the fabric store, get 20% off swimsuit fabric, sheeting, upholstery, drapery, work fabric, mats, ready-made curtains, sheet sets, mattress, and school fabric. In the hardware store, get 25% off garden, household, general hardware, bathroom accessories, small appliances, paint accessories, hand tools, outdoor and patio, sanitary ware, and kitchen. Each day is a different product, same discount. Call 448-2310 or visit us on Facebook and Instagram for more details. Come home to quality. 10 days of summer. Only at LA Jupiter. Huggies Active Sec disposable diapers provides the best absorption results. Its Velcro Dura technology provides a long-lasting fit for up to 12 hours of absorption and are available in sizes small to XXL at an affordable price. Huggies Active Sec, leading your baby to explore the world. Available at all supermarkets and shops island-wide and distributed by Springfield Trading Limited.
Woman, I am woman, I am woman, yeah. Hey, this is your girl, Mikkel Henderson, and you're listening to Woman on Vibes Radio, the one and only. Keep it locked.
Radio station. We're back. And we want to welcome our guests right away. We're not wasting no time. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ashma. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am so happy to see the sun out this morning, considering it was a little rainy. But yeah. How about you, Trudy? How are you?
I'm good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much for asking. Ashma, it's nice to have you here with us. I know you and Trudy work together, right?
Yes.
But I've known you long time, right? Like Ashma. Ashma is one of my sisters, my youngest sisters, good friends, and we go way back. So it's good to have you here from college days to university days. After university, I remember when my mom passed away, you guys, came up and stuff. So it's really good to have you here, and it's good to have Matthew on. It's like, I know she's smart, and she's not just smart. Some people have a lot of brains and the ignorance, but she real smart. She just real smart. I make it ask for one in there.
Ashma, we didn't give you a full. I mean, we put you on like Ashma. Now everybody know Ashma. Ashma, as Jael said, is a senior lecturer. As she said, works at the Dominican State College, senior lecturer at the Dominican State College, economics, and also an international development reader. You'll tell us a bit more about some of the stuff that you involved in, Ashma. But just to put it out there, before we just started, if you like, hey, Ashma from the blog. It's Ashma DcDougall.
On the street. You see, sometimes we pass people on the road and we see them and we probably just say, and I wanted to give her like an informal kind of a thing because she's very smart. She's so down to earth, a regular schmegular person, right? So I wanted people to know Ashma from the block first. Because they'll take her much more seriously, knowing that she's just a regular person, just have a lot of brains, a lot of smarts, and we can appreciate that.
I like that tagline there, Ashma from the block.
This morning we wanted to get your weigh in on, what's happening with the youth and the economic impact of COVID-19, for instance, on the youth and their employment, opportunities and in that line. So what have you seen? What I know you've been observing the going ons. What have you observed or what have you been noticing about the impact of COVID-19 on the youth specifically?
Okay. So good morning to everyone. My name is Ashma. And my focus is typically development and migration. And so a lot of my discussion today will be really coming from a migration perspective. As it relates to unemployment in Dominica, we know unemployment is a huge challenge in every country, and more so among the youth. The youth typically face unemployment at a much higher rate than adults. And in the case of Dominica, that is the same. We have a lot of people a lot of youth who are unemployed. And when I say youth, youth in Dominica typically ranges between 18 and 35. So persons within that age range, we have a high number of people within that age range who are unemployed. More so,
wait. Trudy doing her head thing. Trudy, you're not that. You middle age. Even if you're 35, you
Ashma, so we can now officially tell Jael, I am still you. Thank you. Continue.
Well, internationally, Trudy, it's 18 to 30. So, not trying to burst your bubble, but we're in Dominica. So, in the Dominican context, yes, we are still youth, Trudy. Yes, we are. But I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys as well have observed it that there is youth unemployment too is actually gendered. We recognize that there are a lot more males being affected by unemployment in Dominica than women. And so in the case of COVID, we recognize obviously that not just here in Dominica, but across the region and across the world, many persons have been unemployed or have become unemployed as a result of the coronavirus. In the context of migration in Dominica, for example, we have a lot of student migrants. We have a lot of seasonal workers. So we have a lot of persons who work on the cruise ships. We have a lot of people who work within tourism. Additionally, we have as well persons who are frictionally employed. So unemployed, sorry. So with regards to youth currently, I can tell you for a fact, especially for example, students who live in the US. So as a student studying in the US, a Dominican student studying in the US, you're only permitted to work on campus. And we've seen that many of these schools have transitioned to an online or distant or an online presence. So most of the students have become unemployed. In the Dominican context, I have many friends who have returned, who are working on the cruise ship. and they are unemployed. They receive compensation for 60 days. And really and truly, they're typically on contract. So now that they're not working, they are not receiving any form of employment benefits. We have in the Dominican context as well, as it relates to persons working in tourism. So I know a lot of young persons who are tour guides, as well taxi operators. They themselves have been affected because obviously we would have been coming off from the tourism season, and they would have not had any opportunity to find employment within that period of time. So, with regards to youth, typically in the environment where unemployment is already high, COVID has obviously increased the incidence of unemployment among youth.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to digest. All right, on this morning. This morning. One of the points that you made, which I didn't even realize that in America that you can work on campus. I didn't know that was a thing. So that is fairly new to me. I guess probably because in Canada you can work anywhere. I don't know.
Because
Why did you go to America? Why did you not come into Canada now?
Trudy, this is the first time I've heard Jael advertising on the program to come to Canada. Third time I've heard
why they go to the US because there's so much nonsense going on there. I mean, you have so much more opportunities, and you can work anywhere in Canada. Like,
I quite agree with you, Jael. And the thing is, too, for me, for example, because I've just returned from London myself. In London, you can actually work off campus as well. So you're not mandated, you're not bound to working only on campus. You're permitted to work off campus. So you have many more opportunities for employment. But I think as well, in the case of Dominica, many students obviously go through what has become the common channel now, studying at Grambling or Midwestern, because obviously the opportunities are, more at reach for them. And so they do not necessarily look at other options outside of the United States. Yeah.
Yes. So when Jael asked about Canada, for real, it's because there's been some establishment of, options in the US where there's funding. Well, no, but they need to be worked on. So, for now, as Ashma said, some of the common options, Grambling, Midwestern, and there have been these arrangements with these schools. So I guess there needs to be a whole transition to start to get some Canadian universities, on board, and people can become more aware of the options. So Jael, you can spearhead. Jael, I'm putting you as the person to spearhead this initiative. Jael, shaking.
Not Joseph. Wrong. I am not the one.
I've actually seen a question here from Denise, and she asked what government interventions can be done as it relates to cruise ship workers that are unemployed. I mean, to be quite honest, we know that right now, for many governments, they're already handling or dealing with the burden of coronavirus. And in some countries, so in the UK, for example, persons who are unemployed, the government has actually
subsidized.
They have said furloughed payments. So basically, they're receiving a minimum amount, even if they're not working, but they were employed prior to Corona. They're receiving some kind of employment benefits. We don't have these formal unemployment benefits in Dominica. But in instances like that, I believe creativity is necessary. And for the cruise ship workers, obviously, most of them who work on the ship provide some kind of experience for the cruise tourists. And considering we've been transitioning to a move of staycations and as well persons doing island tours and all of that, somewhat perhaps the cruise workers for that experience can be incorporated in such ventures. I don't see it as the government needing to intervene. More than likely, I think people just need to step out of the box and be more creative in trying to find other forms of employment, actually.
I agree.
I've seen a little bit of that already starting, Ashma, and so maybe people can really continue, because I have seen a couple people who were employed on cruise ships performing at some of our local restaurants and bars. So Yeah, so I've seen some of those performers come back, and they are, engaging in the local performing scene. So yeah, so a lot more people, I guess, can get on board, and as you said, that's a good suggestion actually. To kind of engage locally now that they are back.
Exactly. Especially considering the uncertainty around the cruise tourism industry, we do not know when they're going to come back, and these people are going to be unemployed for that period. And so the best thing would be taking advantage of the opportunities which they can create for themselves. I think we sometimes always want to depend on someone to create some kind of intervention, when really and truly we just have to think out of the box and try to be innovative and create solutions ourselves.
That is so very, very important. Mm-hmm.
So even before COVID, though, COVID is what we started talking about COVID-19 and unemployment. But even before that, what kind of trends were you observing, or have you observed in employment, youth employment, that is, or just in general, before COVID? What was going on? We're talking about COVID, but what was going on before?
Oh, Trudy. Honestly, working with the college, I interact with a lot of youth, and so I always like ensuring to keep up with them after they've graduated. And whenever employment opportunities come up, I always, hint to them, this is available, that is available. And most times they still are unemployed, to be quite honest with you. In what I've recognized, as I mentioned before, is that males really experience a higher level of unemployment in Dominica than females.
Ashma,
And
as if I want statistics from you. Like I want statistics from you in terms of how many people are you for unemployed pre-COVID? 50%, 20%, 100%. Because saying males, we see them all the time on the side of the road, not doing anything with their life. We see that, right? But we sometimes make excuses, or they make excuses for those who, they have nothing to do, or they just choose to be there, right? What are the
right.
in your research? Because I know you're heavily involved in that. What would you say is the research on the unemployment rates in Dominica?
Okay, so first of all, I myself am an avid researcher, and I believe that statistics are not necessarily available in Dominica, but in 2016, the ILO reported that across the Caribbean, one in every four youth was unemployed. In the Dominican context, youth unemployment was not estimated, but the unemployment rate was calculated to be 23%. That's just unemployment. But as I mentioned to you before, youth are typically experiencing much higher percentages of unemployment than adults.
That was
now at the same time.
That was 2016. Mm-hmm. That was 2016.
Right, 2016. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. We've had periods of the NEP, right? We've had Maria. So there are so many different economic conditions that have come about to actually change the unemployment rates. So I haven't found anything that has been more recent in Dominica, but I would say that obviously NEP would have decreased the unemployment rate, but at the same time, Maria caused an increase in the unemployment rate. At the same time, we had persons who migrated after Maria. So there are so many different factors that would have changed or allowed the unemployment rate to fluctuate at that particular time. But as I mentioned, because they experience higher rates of unemployment, and at the same time, unemployment does not take into consideration discouraged workers. So discouraged workers, you mentioned earlier, they're not doing anything with themselves. I don't really say that. I don't really consider it that. I feel like many times people become discouraged, and so they stop looking. These people are not considered to be unemployed. They're considered to be discouraged workers. So this is discouraged worker effect. So if these discouraged workers were even incorporated into the unemployment rate, the unemployment rate would be much higher, perhaps 40%.
That's an important revelation. I never knew there was that categorization of discouraged workers. So if you're not actively seeking employment, then you don't factor
Yes,
into
because
the
really,
calculation
truly, unemployment is defined as exactly right. So to be considered unemployed, you have to be actively seeking work. Actively. So if you're not actively seeking work, then you would be considered a discouraged worker. You wouldn't be considered part or considered into that unemployment part in the economy.
Okay. Why do you
In
feel?
Dominica, we have many discouraged workers. I mean, most of the males that I'm sorry, there was a little bit of a glitch. Sorry, I'm sorry, Jael. Can you repeat that?
There's a delay, and I think it's just trying to work itself out. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. We'll give you some time to speak when we speak. But why would you think it would be important to address youth employment or issues related to youth specifically? Like, why do you think it's important?
Well, first of all, Jael, we are at a point in time when youth now are much more educated. This generation of youth are much more educated than previous generations. And as we know, a more educated workforce will lead to a more productive workforce. So the more educated you are, the more productive you will be. And we've had so many students go off studying medicine, different branches of business, marketing, management, human resource, and they return. And we've been talking about youth unemployment, but we've also and that's the tip of the iceberg, but another challenging aspect is youth underemployment. And so, for example, we have students returning. Currently, we have many students who have returned, right? Because the conditions in the US, after you graduate, you are allowed to do OPT, and that's basically training after graduation for 1 year. And so if you can't find a job, it means you have to come back, right? You have to come back to Dominica. I think you're given 60 days. So I'm looking at these students first, right? These student migrants. It's important that we consider youth unemployment and underemployment, because when they return, obviously they too become frustrated if they can't find a job. And what we recognize is that many of the youth have been migrating to even other Caribbean countries because there are more opportunities for them that match their qualifications. At the same time, for us, what it means is that we're losing a lot of talent. We're losing a lot of persons who have the human capital that can contribute to economic development and growth, which is what we're looking at embracing to attain this dynamic Dominica that we're all trying to build.
Yeah, so you're speaking to the issue of brain drain, essentially. And I think that is definitely a major issue. That is definitely a major issue.
I'm still trying to figure out what can be done though in terms of keeping, like, what suggestions would you have in terms of keeping people on island, or do you think that it's just not there? Like because for example, like you find every year a certain amount of people go to medicine. Is there a ratio where like there should be a level of control as to, okay, yeah, 50 of you going to do medicine, but we really don't need 50 medical doctors in the next 5 years. We probably need medical doctors, and we're probably going to need some engineers, or we're probably going to need something else, like, is there any consideration? Is it just on I mean, because one of the things that you spoke of is a lot of the financial opportunities in terms of university, and a lot of it comes from the government, where the government opens up opportunities for a lot of students from to travel overseas to study, right? Especially when you come from a lower income family, or family that's unable to probably afford to send you to university. So you want to take that opportunity and go. Now, from the government standpoint, do you see, I know you don't work directly with the government, but from looking on the outside, on the inside, do you see any level of control where they would say, okay, I don't think it's in the best interest of the country, because at the end of the day, it's a country's decision, right? That we're sending off 100 people to go study medicine, where we could be sending off 20. and we probably go. So is there like a breakdown as to how many scholarships or how much opportunities are opened up to people? Is that even a factor? If not, what is that?
I think really and truly like a solution. And this was something that I was actually privy to in a conversation. A way forward is to actually do some kind of needs assessment where we try to assess exactly what countries' needs are. So, for example, if we are heading into agriculture, then it means we need more agricultural specialists. So the scholarships would be somewhat targeted towards attracting more persons who have an interest in studying agriculture, right? At the same time, we need medical doctors, we need nurses, we need marketing experts. Look at the abattoir, for example. So we need personnel working in there who are trained, right? Who have some experience in poultry farming. So what it is there needs to be some kind of needs assessment done to see what the country's needs are. And from that, then they can market what scholarships that they have. And therefore, by doing that, it means that they're targeting persons who have, I guess, a better chance at returning and actually contributing to the development of Dominica. If you're sending 20 people to do business, then more than likely, when these 20 people return, you would not find 20 jobs in business. But if you're sending five to study business and they're specializing in different fields, and you're sending someone to study poultry farming or in agriculture or in tourism, hospitality, then it means you're coming back, you'll have persons returning in specialized in different fields, and each of them would be probably more likely, the probability of them finding jobs would be much greater, as opposed to having higher concentrations within that same field.
Right. Some of our listeners are weighing in. Francilla is saying she loves the needs assessment idea. Like I say, there used to be some sort of national priority list when giving scholarships. Not sure what happened to it. And I can attest to the fact that that did exist. I really cannot say if it still does. Ashma, I don't know if you could tell me, but when I went to study, it was considered a priority area. So I got a scholarship from the OAS. But now I don't know if that still exists. So I don't know if you could comment on that. And then Tamika is saying she feels that this is common sense. She doesn't understand why that was never done. So do you have any idea of the national priority list, if that is still a factor?
No? Again, like I said, it was just from a conversation, and it's something that they're considering conducting soon. Because obviously the priorities will change because your economy changes. As the economy shifts, the priorities will change. So this has to be something that obviously is constantly being done, probably every year.
Right.
And students study every semester. So probably as every semester perhaps. Then you know exactly, okay, we're sending these students to do this. This is the interest that they have. These are the interests that they have. They're matched to what we need most.
Yeah, because I would think that if I get a scholarship, thank God I didn't, but if I get a scholarship to go and study a specific something, when I come back, I would be under the assumption that there is almost like a job lined up waiting for me, because there was a need identified 4 years ago for that, and there would even be a greater need then, when obviously you have probably switched because you might have gone to study tourism, but now the tourism sector might be suffering, and they might not need you in that sector. They might need you in another. Obviously, that is also to be considered. But you would, like Tamika is saying, it's common sense. Like, why is it that people are coming back and they aren't able to find jobs that they can do on their student and they're sitting at their home? I mean, it's kind of hard for me to have a degree. Like, for example, in my case, I'm still in school. If I feel like I can, furthermore, I'm not going to work for nobody, so that's not going to happen. But moving past that, if I had to find a job or look for a job, I don't think I would choose Dominica, to be quite honest. If I had to actively look, why Jael? One, the pay, where the pay is concerned, I feel like the minimum wage needs to be increased, right? I feel that is like a major factor. With my degree and my experience, I would not work for less than $5,000 a month easy. That's just me. right? So I would not pick that as my first option. I would prefer to go and work for myself than to go and work underneath somebody to listen to somebody and make less than $5,000 a month. That's just me. And that's why I've been working for myself since 2013. I prefer to struggle by myself than to go through this where I have somebody breathing down my neck and I'm not making what I feel like I'm worth, you know? So I would not.
And Jael, that's an extremely important point. It's an extremely important point. I mean, minimum wage is one of the things as well that actually discourages people from entering the work market. I mean, you have persons that ties into with underemployment. Persons have the skill. I have a friend who's returned with her master's degree and she's been unemployed for the last 6 months. So you return and then you can't find a job.
Yeah,
or you return, you find a job, but then you're not necessarily being, the skills does not match the job that you're being selected for. And so it's like you went studying this and then you can't even get any training. We also have to talk about the inexperience trap. I mean, like for me, for example, when I graduated and I came back initially with my first degree, I was like 2021. And for me, like everybody was like, you need to have 5 years experience in, and you need to have 7 years experience in, and that really is another hindrance for many young people, because really and truly just graduated, more than likely you're not necessarily going to have 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years experience. And at the same time, it's something that I actually heard through the budget address this week. We need to have more skills training and more partnerships with the private sector at the Dominica State College that gives the students somewhat of an opportunity to have that experience prior to going into the working world. So for example, many universities in the US and the UK, obviously they have these internships that students must do before they graduate. And so it gives them that opportunity to experience the work field, to have an idea of what, to be honest, sometimes you start working in the field and then it's like, I don't think, right, this is really what I want to do with my life. So even for the person, it gives them insight.
Right. Ashma, somebody, one of our listeners has commented that the national priority list does still exist, and the link was placed in the Woman2Woman chat. So the Woman2Woman live feed. So there is the national priority list. But you mentioned something, and I want us to revisit that. First of all, earlier on, you were speaking about the fact that there needs to be, that variance, that variety in fields that are maybe scholarships are maybe offered for. But before that, you are well poised to maybe comment on this. Working in the education sector, as well as you have in the economics background. So if we want there to be this different interest level and scholarships to be offered in different areas, what about that interest being generated from before you get to that scholarship application phase? Because what you would notice, and that comes from the discussion that Jael started off with, all these people applying to do medicine, for instance, the interest level is there because maybe of what exists in our education sector.
That's right.
So I mean, you generate interest based on what you're offering and what you're focusing on the local level. So I wanted your comment on that, and you also just mentioned, internships and private sector partnerships with the Dominica State College. So how do you think we can then generate a little more variation in the interest levels or the interest areas of our young people?
I think it goes back to having that conversation, because really and truly we can't actually make solutions without understanding understanding it from the perspective of the persons directly being affected by those particular problems. So we have to go to the students or go to the young persons who actually are the ones applying for schools to understand like what they would prefer seeing. Like I've seen students come at Dominica State College and they've asked, boy, I really want to do drama. I really want to become an actor. I want to become a marine biologist. Like there are so many different specialized fields that they have. Jael.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I know exactly, like, you speak into, like, the choir here. You sing into the choir. thank God I had an opportunity to become a Canadian resident and I'm a Canadian citizen, and I had the option to choose whatever route I wanted to, right? To go. But if I had left Dominica straight out of Dominica and gone overseas to study, I would probably be a dentist today, right? Because that is the route I was following from Dominica, leaving and I would have hated it. I know I would have absolutely. And a lot of people pick what they feel would be money, like it's going to. Oh, I'm going to make a lot of money if I become a doctor because doctors make a lot of money, and they don't think, hello, you could be a marketing person and make more than a doctor, right? I do recall, and I know a lot of people can vouch for me. I remember once I had a situation where I was asked how much money I made, and that was quite a few years ago, and the person was surprised to learn I had a check of $9,000 in my bag, and there they are making, like, being a decision maker, making $4,000 a month, and they were like, how do you do that? I'm like, because I work hard. Like, I work my bottom off, right? So people think in their mind that you need to go and study medicine because your parents put it in your head, your teachers put it in your head, plus the government is offering a scholarship to go do medicine. Why not go do medicine? But then you come back and you can't find a job.
Well, I mean, to be honest, though, Jael, in the interactions that I have with many of the students, they really are following their passion. Honestly, I've seen many students now go into fields that they really want to do, and the fact that there may not be a job for them when they return hasn't hindered that particular decision, and that's what caused them to leave after. Like, I have another former student. She just graduated. She worked in the US for a year. She's back now, and she's like, no, I'm going to leave again because I can't find a job here that's going to pay me what I deserve, and I can't find a job here which I will love as well. So I think a lot of people are actually following their passion, following what it is that they want, or they're becoming specialized in different fields. But at the same time, yes, we still have persons who are stuck in this box of lawyer, doctor, nurse.
Right. So Ashma, as we approaching the end of our time, which is amazing. Yeah, I know. That's what happens when the discussion is deep. I wanted to ask you, from your perspective, what sort of targeted policies could maybe be put in place to address some of the issues that we have brought up, the discouraged people, the unemployed, those maybe not finding employment in their field. One of our listeners brought up the issue of creating your own employment as well. So I want to know, what are some ideas you had about policy changes or policy implementation that could resolve some of those issues or address some of those issues?
Well, something I always thought of, and something I actually heard as well in the budget address, is that they're looking at somewhat having relations with students or conversations with students at the high school level, even before they go up to Dominica State College and university, to have a better idea of the working world. Because I think that there is somewhat of a dissonance in that some students don't necessarily understand what to expect. That in itself can lead to unemployment because you have high school dropout rates among males. I think one of the most striking policies is obviously the minimum wage. Minimum wage has to be reviewed. And I know it has been something that has been discussed on many different political platforms and as well social discussion. It has to be reviewed because, yes, at the same time, people are following their passion, but people want to be compensated fairly for their work. And in Dominica's case, cost of living is high. And for some people, honestly, I really try to understand how some people make ends meet. Like, it must be magic because for the rent that they pay, the utilities that they pay, and the amount of the salary that they get at the end of the month.
I'm going to say the grace of God.
Grace of God. Oh, it must be. Also,
right? So
Anyway,
that has to be, minimum wage policy has to be reviewed. I think it's one of the most critical things as it relates to employment in Dominica, because it's something that will actually somewhat encourage more people to want to work as opposed to not want to work. Some people would say, I prefer not to work, not working at all, than working for little pay, right? At the same time, as it relates to entrepreneurship and self-employment, that has to be an avenue that perhaps we can find some kind of mentorship from entrepreneurs and successful like persons who own their own businesses, right? To somewhat target these people who perhaps have potential and have ideas, because I've seen so many young people with so many different creative different things that they do that could potentially become a business, but they don't necessarily probably have the information, they don't have capital, they don't have the self-esteem or the confidence to perhaps approach a bank for sourcing or securing capital to start their own business. They don't know what.
Let's not even go to the approaching the bank, because that is another story on its own. Right? That's another story on its own, because all of the different things that are put in place. And sorry, banks. I love banks for the most part, but so many hindrances and so many roadblocks are put in their policies that prevent young people from excelling or even doing better. I mean, take for example, as simple as building a house. Like, they make it so difficult for you to build a house. Like, you feel like you have to stay at your mother home for the rest of your life, because so I get what you're saying, and I get what you're saying. Like, I feel like we keep singing the same thing over and over again in Dominic, and I tired of it. Like, I don't know about you guys, in as much as I feel like, okay, yeah, but I remember my mother talking and my father talking about that when I was a little girl. And the conversation is like, no, I feel like I sound like my mother and my father.
I know the problem will continue persisting if the solutions are not there to fix the problems, honestly. But yeah, what I must say as well is, like, even for me, for example, and I was my personal experiences. So as soon as I came back, I was back working at the college, but at the same time, I'm still tutoring online. I think that now with globalization, people have to get out of the box that you must go into a physical location to do something. I mean, for some occupations, some fields, it may not necessarily be existent. But for many, there are so many opportunities online. Something as simple as perhaps sitting out surveys is you. So really and truly, it's just looking for those opportunities online as well, because at the same time, you may have a skill, you may not have a skill, but the world is our oyster, and we don't have to frame ourselves in Dominica and look for employment in Dominica. We can be in Dominica and work anywhere in the world that we want to, right? So I think persons need to as well, just continue doing, at least start doing research to see what opportunities are available outside of Dominica that they can perhaps do through online platforms. And again, all of this I see in current solutions being implemented. So with the digital economy, they currently have asking persons to apply online, and they have a training program that they're encouraging people to do so that it can expose them to understanding the opportunities that are available to them online as it relates to employment.
Right. I feel that's such an important note to somewhat end on, because COVID-19 has really brought into sharp focus that whole concept of having a virtual experience, virtual employment. People have had virtual educational experiences now. So it really is the perfect time. We've actually been forced to make this a very real consideration as we move forward in 2020 and beyond. And I really feel like, I don't know, sometimes you maybe don't want to do something, and then a situation arises that essentially brings it laser focused for you. So those online jobs and those online opportunities, I agree with you. I think that's one of the ways to head into for a lot of young people. Definitely.
Definitely. And even if staying in Dominica and working online, like you can make us dollars and and be using East dollars, you
And
know?
some good pounds too. Some good pounds to jail.
Yeah, even like being here, you know, I've gotten so many opportunities to do online stuff, and it's amazing. There's a lot out there, and I really appreciate that you brought that up, because that is something that people one of the things that you stress is being self-reliant, you know, not being dependent on a government. Yes, you were given the opportunity to go to school, but some people come back and they just sit there waiting on the Lord, uh, so to speak, and not find means and ways that they can make money. And there's so many different ways out there to make money, to make an honest living, you know, and it's good vibes that you spoke about. Very very important information that you spoke about. Ashma, we were so grateful to have you. I think we need to have you on again. You know, like we need to have you come on again.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were even comments, and we apologize because we were not able to take all the comments. But you know, hopefully, if we have Ashma back on to discuss some issues surrounding employment and the economy, you all can get a chance to weigh in and weigh in early, so we could get to your comments.
I think some people they wait.
So Ashma, thank you.
They wait for the trigger warning. You know, the triggers that give them ideas and give them questions. Oh, I should ask about that. But they wait a little too late to put in their questions.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of feedback. And thank you very much, Ashma, for coming out.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having me,
you.
guys.
Bye. Trudy.
Yes, Jill. So we are at the end of the
It's Friday, guys. I like what she said. You know, there are things that we have to consider. Yes, the minimum wage that needs to be reconsidered, and that has been the case for years. However, there are also other ways that you can subsidize your income, or even make more money, or make money outside, or create opportunities for yourself. So I think it's very important, and I hope that people take heed, you know, and stop being so dependent. Like I can't understand how people are so dependent. They're always waiting for the government to give them something, to give them a handout. They send you to school, you see them to do your job. You say, find ways and means to organize yourself, you know?
Right. And at the same time, lobby too for the environment to be conducive for those ways to actually work. So, you know, there still needs to be a conducive environment fostered in Dominica for young entrepreneurs to succeed. So we can continue that discussion, and I'm glad that Ashma has said that she will be willing to come back as needs be. So we can definitely continue that discussion. Jael, Friday today is Emancipation Dress Day, so I'm gonna go and, you know, show off my little African print. I think you need to do the little head tie, you know, the one that I like. Take some pictures. No,
and I think that Emancipation. Sorry.
The one that I like, Jael, the African print head tie.
Let me tell you, I not in that emancipation thing. Okay, let me tell you that. I not in that. That is a whole that looks like another woman. Why I not in that? You see, I purposely every Friday I want an African print head wrap, right?
I know.
Today, right? Mopana right?
Y'all, Jael is just a gift. That's our time. Y'all, it's a long weekend. Enjoy the weekend.
Guys, thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you guys share the live and let people know the discussion today. And we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesday. So there'll be no.
I was just telling you.
What happened?
I was just trying to tell you it's a long weekend. You're not realizing. You know, I'm telling you, we off on Monday. We'll see you guys on Tuesday, same time, same place. On Tuesday.
Keep a lot. Bye, guys. Have an awesome weekend. Be safe. Okay, guys? Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Do you have a question for us on Woman to Woman? Send in your questions on